Right, welcome to another hashtag 530 live. We have the top gentleman Simon Cox with us, and we're going to be discussing networking, pros and cons. So for me, just kicking off, I've never been. I say, I've never been. I've been since COVID, but I was never a big networker. So it's all relatively new to me, and one of the things that I found the most uncomfortable is it because people probably wouldn't believe this, but I am an introvert. I'm not an extrovert, so I wouldn't be one to go around and introduce myself. What I would do is if there was some sort of like person that were on their own in networking when I went to networking, if and they were the same, I'd make a beeline for them. The most unusual person probably out there. That's probably, the one that's. I think some networking thing said the person said it was like the Darth Vader of the audience. I'd go and make a beeline for them and have a chat with them. But what about yourself? Because I know you've been a phenomenal networker, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I first discovered it back in 2009. So, what's that, nearly 12 years of being on the networking circuit now. But, when you first walk in that room, it can be really nerve-wracking and really daunting. And do you know what? It can put a lot of people off. People go for the first time ever and they walk into a room, and the first meeting I walked into had 120 people in the room. So I was absolutely, petrified. But on a positive note, I was thinking, oh, look at all these clients, look at all these potential customers, look at all this business I can get out of this room. Mistake number one. Let's just say that, because not everyone's going to want to buy from me, and you can fall into that trap. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely embrace it. I think it's an absolutely amazing thing to do, and I've learned so much and met so many great people through it.
So in 2009, was that when you were networking? Then, which business was that you were?
I tell you what happened. I went to go and get some leaflets printed for the embroidery company that we'd set up in 2009. And the guy said to me, he said, it's all very well, funny enough, he was a printer. It's all very well you doing these leaflets, but who are you going to give them to? And I went, I'll go and put them on car windscreens and through letterboxes. And he just went, that's not going to work. I said, well, what do you think I should do then? He said, well, what are you doing Tuesday night? And then I didn't know that he was obviously involved in a local business network. And he said, come along. So I was like, okay, go and have a look. And, invited me. And funny enough, Jeff Clark, his name was, a printer in Wellingborough. And, got to know Jeff very well. And, what that guy did for me by saying that to me back in 2009, I can't thank him for, because it's led me on a journey that I never saw I'd ever be doing. So, can't thank him enough, really.
I mean, the thing, I suppose, when I look at it, my perspective, I wasn't, because I'm out in the sticks. I think I've said before. It takes me to do one meeting. It will take me the whole morning. So half the day is gone for me. So I always looked at it as, Christ, that's a lot of time, a lot of productive time out of my day. Knowing full well networking is essential, but it's just a lot of time, and I can be doing so much more. The COVID side has changed my approach, in particular with online networking, and I'm a lot more willing to do that than I am actually going face to face. And I know people are dying to go face to face, but I'm quite happy with the online because it suits my personal circumstances. So I am really am new to the networking side. What are the things, the top sort of like tips for you on on a face to face, physical face to face? What would be your top tips on the networking?
Yeah, I think when we go back to face, I mean, certainly, some of the things I've learned over the years, carry a name badge with you, because you could look professional and people see that name badge when you first go out there. So,
and that goes back to what we were discussing the other week, which was the brand consistency again, because
yeah,
it picking up on that branding as well. So yeah, no, absolutely top on that.
and watch where you position the badge as well. So us men don't have obviously a cleavage. So let's talk about the men first. I mean, the place I would always say is wear it up on the right hand side of your body, not your left hand side, but your right hand side, because when people go to shake your hand, they're going to see your name. Because naturally, when you go to shake someone's hand, that's assuming COVID doesn't exist, and it has never existed. You're going to catch someone's name, so you can say, "Oh, hi Adam, how are you? Great to see you," without even saying what's your name, because then you make that person feel sort of welcome straight away. For the ladies, just watch where you wear it, because and what you're wearing, because men will deliberately home in on your name badge. And I'm sure there's some ladies that do it to the men as well, but let's just put that one out there. But yeah, I mean, obviously, get a name badge printed. Arrive early. Be positive. Hang around at the end for see what goes on, and just be yourself. Really, there's loads of things not to do. I can assure you that. Don't ever go into the room expecting that 120 people in the room are going to be 120 clients, because that just does not work.
Yeah, no, I think I can remember saying in another one of these that somebody handing out all their business cards at the end, even though they haven't met them, they've been around, just dealt them all out. It was like a spray and pray job. I was thinking, no, I don't think that's quite right, personally.
The chicken feeders, they're the ones you mean, yeah?
Chicken
the salt
feeders.
spreaders.
Yeah. I mean, because there's no... From... I suppose I mean, I'm asking questions here because I'm relatively new into this. I've found it absolutely loads of positives. I've met more people than I ever would have done. Paul Orns just put on here, online networking in some ways has been a godsend, as it's given everyone a much extended reach. And it has, and that I think I've said before, is I've connected and got to know more people with the COVID side than I've ever had did before any of the networking. And the networking has now been part of the marketing side of the business, across the businesses now. But from where you've come, from 2009 to now, has it changed at all? I know we're online, but has it, the networking sort of like style, the process, everything, has it changed over the years, or has it been the same?
Interesting question, actually, because it depends what network group you go to, first of all, I'd say. So if you were going to an offline network meeting, face to face, depends which ones you go to. You get those that you rigidly got to stick to the routine of 60 seconds presentation. If not, you get a black mark by your name. To those that you can go in and just sit around the table and talk comfortably and chill out and enjoy yourself. So I think it depends on what you're looking for and where you've been. Online networks, I mean, I think we've all had to adapt to the way that we actually perform now. We've all had to become virtual TV reality stars over the last year, and some of us have got better than others. But you see some complete characters. So I think certainly that's changed. What I will say is what Paul's just said there. What I felt when we moved all these network meetings online, and we were networking in Glasgow from sunny East Northants and things like that. The fresh energy coming at us from people and the inquisitiveness was amazing. It really was. Like, who am I going to meet today? It's really exciting because, you're meeting so many different people from across the country, but also those that could never get out to a network meeting for disability reasons or because they just can't drive or whatever. So, to meet new people I think it's been a wave of fresh energy coming at us.
It has, yeah. And the person that I mean, there's a few that stand out for me around it. But Mita, from where she was, from where she started on the online, because we used to have the camera on, and she's absolutely shining star now, isn't she? From where she is. So I've wondered whether the online with the online stuff, whether it has actually made people. It's obviously made people get into that networking style, and has actually given them the confidence to go out and do the face-to-face as well now. The general side of it is we do a value proposition, don't we? We do our 60 seconds, 30 seconds, or whatever it is we do. Is that what the standard would be in a normal face-to-face? Because again, I haven't done that much, and I just sit back, listen, watch, observe, because I like to observe anyway. Is that the standard in from a networking point of view, and is that the sort of advice you would give from a networking point of view? It's to have that value proposition, to have that sequence of words to say.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, some of the weekly ones that are out there, they'll have 60-second slot for you to normally stand as well and actually present that to the room. So, you all sit on a horseshoe or sit around in various tables and things like that. And then someone who's leading the meeting would then say, right, it's your turn now. You'd stand, do your 60-second presentation. And don't get me wrong, having been on the journey, you can feel the nerves building up. You can really feel, because let's face it, public speaking, oh my gosh, world's number one fear. I actually love it now, but I was on that journey where I absolutely hated it, and you could feel the pressure coming towards you, especially if you're in a room where your competitor or your competition's in the room, and you don't want to be repeating what they've already said because you don't want to, disengage the room. And you practiced the day before in front of the mirror. You got your 60 seconds all lined up. You're all ready to go, and all of a sudden your competition goes and says something you've just been practicing all night, and you've got to adjust very quickly to stand out against your competition. So that is normal practice that goes on. What I would say, if we do go back to those days, is tell a story of what you've been up to in the last week. Tell a story about what you've been doing. So, the kind of work we've been doing this week has been X, Y, and Z, and Gary loved what we delivered for him, and we've had a really busy week, and we delivered this product or this service to this client. This is what they said about us. So it's telling the story, really, is what I would say if you're looking for fresh content. Because if not, if you're delivering that same message week in, week out, yes, it sticks, but if people don't like you, they're just going to disengage.
Yes, yeah.
So at least if you tell something different, they can look at it and go, well, actually, I didn't know that about that person. My view has now changed, and that can happen.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely some spot on advice. There is that in being able to, as you say, reflect and discuss around what you've been doing over the past week, because it again builds on that authority within within your profession and what you're doing. And if you're constantly changing it, it's like any marketing, isn't it? It's that you've got the 5 levels, different levels of your customer awareness and your customer value journey. What you say one week might not resonate with at that particular time with that person, but the following week, because you've changed it, does. So yeah, that's a top bit of advice on that one. What other advice have you got from a networking point of view? I mean,
without a doubt, follow up. It is the most frustrating thing when you meet someone at a meeting and you've gone there, somebody wants to talk to you about whatever. It could be they want to talk to you about potential collaboration. It could be they want to buy from you, whatever, and nothing happens after it. So always follow up. It's the one golden rule in any form of networking. If not, you've just wasted your time. There's times when, and I've had it done to me recently actually, where you meet someone at an online network meeting, they message you and say, I'll catch up with you later this afternoon, is that okay? You don't hear like for 3 or 4 weeks. You're like, what was the point? What was the point in actually messaging me? But that goes on in face-to-face meetings as well. So without a doubt, follow up. I would say as well, just make sure that, get there early, be yourself as well. So if you're nervous, tell someone you're nervous. I don't like doing this, because they feel exactly the same. And it builds that bond quicker between people. So there's times when, I was absolutely petrified of walking in the room. So even the day before, I used to tweet the day before, looking forward to going there. So A, I'd committed myself to going. B, I tagged in the network group as well, so they knew to expect me. And the third thing is, when I actually got there, it was like, here comes our tweeter. Hi, how are you? And they came to me rather than me going to them. So people that can get nervous, just put something out and commit yourself to it, and just go and embrace it and go and do it. And always praise the speaker. If you got a speaker, you say, that was great, Gary. Love what you heard, because so many people just go listen and just go away. And if people are really nervous, always hang around the tea and coffee table. It's the best place to hang around, because again, you can just stand there and just drink a cup of coffee, and people will come for a coffee. So they'll come to you, and then the confident people will then talk to those that aren't so confident. So the coffee table and biscuit table always goes down well.
Just go, plus you got the added advantage that you can snaffle all the biscuits if you want. No, the one thing I had wondered, again, because I often reflect on this. Anybody that knows me, I reflect a lot on a lot of different scenarios. But online networking, the norm has now been to, because most of the networking's online networking statings become part of their ethos is the one-to-one afterwards, the online one-to-one afterwards. Now, did that ever happen in the face-to-face, because I've never known it to. So I've never known anybody to say, "Oh, we must have a one-to-one after the networking." Now, I've been at some shit networking, but it's never been. But it's now the norm. Now, do you think that will pass on to when we do go to face-to-face? That will become a standard and say we must have a one-to-one now. We must connect and have a one-to-one.
Depending on where you've been in the past, that's been going on for years.
Yeah.
Some of the network meetings that are out there, and here's another great tip: always set goals for those one-to-ones. What you're actually looking to achieve from that meeting. Is it you want to find out more from the person that you're meeting? Is it more you want to deliver a message to them? Don't go into it thinking, oh, they're going to buy your product, because they won't.
No,
unless they're really in the market for it. But and you should really be looking to see what you can actually do to help that person. I had one booked from meetings at this morning. The guy said to me, "Do you mind if we have a conversation?" I said, "Yeah, no problem at all." I said, "Look, we won't ever use you because we've got someone in our place. But if I can find out more about you and I can understand more about what it is, we may be able to move you on, because I network a lot and I hear people say, oh, I've got this problem or whatever." So, should really be going into a one-to-one with, I think, set goals, set time limits as well. So, and agree that. So, Adam, let's get together for an hour. I'd love to talk to you about this. Is that okay? They say yes. Right, okay. What do you want to talk to me about? You want to talk to me about this? Great, no problem. And set a goal for the time involved. What you don't want is me talking for half an hour, you going for 5 minutes, and then me going, I tell you what, we said an hour. I'll have another 25 minutes, and then, of course you've got 55 minutes of me and 5 of you, and that's no value really.
No, yeah. Next question for me, because this one's going to be a controversial one. I know it is, with a number of people that may listen to this. Should networking be paid for? Should you pay for networking?
Interesting. Very, very interesting. So, my thoughts. I think if you're starting out and you're looking to learn and you're looking for support from the network group, yes, people should pay for it, without a doubt. Because I run a network. I don't make a profit out of it. I don't want to make a profit out of it. What I want to do, though, is bring people together, and the money they pay, we literally pay, they pay £5 a head for that meeting, and £3 of that goes towards the refreshments and the venue for putting on the meeting. £1 of it goes to the local hospital for a collection that we have, and we all know that we've contributed towards £30 or £40 a time to the local hospital, and £1 will go to the running cost of the network. So it'll be the hosting of the website or any other little things. But a lot of the issues, having seen them over the years in business networking, is normally over the food. People are moaning about, can we have a cooked breakfast instead of cereal? And I'm like, for God's sake, guys, I'm not here for the breakfast. I'm here to build relationships and see what I can do for you, and hopefully you can see what you can do for us. And I just think it depends on the type of meeting you go to.
Yeah.
I think me personally, when I launched the network that I ran in 2015, the goal was always not to charge membership. We didn't want to charge membership, but that then means that we've got no budget to play with to promote the network. So the reason we've done well there is by saying to people, come along and use the network to showcase what you're about and display your talents, and people have done that, and it's worked very well for us. So it will be interesting when we come back out of all this to go back out to COVID. The thing that winds me up a little bit is when you've got those that aren't experienced in running network meetings, that see it as an event and think, I can just run an event and bring people together, because someone's still got to host that meeting.
Yeah.
And it's the meeting people are coming for, not an event. So if they don't like the room host or the leader of that network group, they're not going to come.
Yeah.
Whereas you have got, and there have been people out there that have gone, I can crack networking, because financially it can work very well. Because if you've got 30 to 40 people regularly come in and they're paying, I don't know, 15 quid, do the maths. It's quite an easy win, especially on Zoom when you've got 15 quid a month to pay out for, and that's it. So it'd be interesting to see what happens when we go back out there. I can tell you now that the network I run will not be a membership network, and we are not charging money. What we're doing is we want to bring people together to create opportunities, and that's the ethos and the ethics behind it.
Yeah, and that's for me, that's how it should be around that, is that ethos around bringing people together and getting collaboratively working and helping each other out, and you don't necessarily need to pay into that. For me, I think there's some, aspects. If it's a facilitation, it's a long meeting, and you're doing a lot of working and emceeing or whatever you're doing, then possibly there is some charge there. But the reason I asked that question was early on, and particularly in the first lockdown, I had an email saying come to this networking, and I thought, oh, here we go. So I had a look at it, and they said, right, it's £20 for the hour, and there'll be 100 odd people there. And I was thinking, yeah, what a load of, bollocks! I'm not paying you £20 for that at all. But I don't know. It's just, I think there are better networking with a better ethos, potentially in and around. There was something else I was going to say around now format. Because formatting on networking, generally when we do face-to-face, is that you still do that 60-second intro, and then there's you might have somebody that's doing a talk, and then you'll go into conversation and just natural bloody conversation. Online we do that, and you get a mix. So some people like the FSB ones. We did the breakout rooms. We do the 60. We didn't do the pitch in the Coventry one, but we had the breakout rooms. But then you're getting a mix of what happens there is that you're getting the same people. You don't see everybody. Now I've always liked, and in fact there was a gentleman, Chris, that was on about this. He said I much prefer where you have the 30 to 60 second pitch, even 15 second. He was saying, he says, because 15 seconds is a long time to get something out there, and it is. You could do that and then have breakout rooms where it's a question. I know we did this within Warwick. They set a question. It's like what I do in the manufacturer now. Set a question, everybody discusses it, come back out, everybody then goes over in the rooms. Somebody's got a head from the room that was there and has made notes, and you repeat it back, and you're all doing it from the rooms. That for me feels so much better, because you got to know or understand what everybody does. You're then going into these breakout rooms. Okay, you may not be, you may not see everybody, but you've got an awareness of everybody, and you're also getting this drive of question and opinion. Great way for FSB, and that way to get feedback on policies and stuff. Do you think there's any? That's just that's from a personal side for me. I see so many different formats though. Do you think there is a one format that really should stick with, or do you think it should be a mash of everything?
Do you know what? It's really interesting, because having run network meetings for nearly 6 years under our own brand, and also with other networks when I've led their groups as well, it's really interesting, because no matter what you do, you're going to get shot down by somebody. There's always going to be somebody that complains, oh, I didn't like this. So I ran a meeting once, and we had a great speaker talking about the environment, really useful information he was giving. We had the council in the room as well. The conversation started going. I looked at my watch and went, oh my God, we haven't got time for any more. Right, we're going to do table networking. Oh, there was 55 people in the room. One person came flying over to me at the end saying, I didn't like that style. I wanted to speak to the whole room, because they were all about numbers. Yeah. They wanted to speak to the audience. Whereas you get others that are introverts, very nervous or very shy or not public speakers, that want to talk to one person but really have to go through that comfort zone. So what I've learned is change it every so often. Without a doubt, sometimes you might get being talked at for half an hour. If not, normally go with a 10-minute speaker, give people the opportunity of broadcasting their message. Because the way I look at that is, if they're going to stand and do a 60-second presentation, they're still developing themselves. And I'll be honest, without networking, I wouldn't have stood confidently at my daughter's christening years ago, talking to my own family members who I've known half my life. So networking gave me that opportunity of building that confidence by literally repeating myself constantly, week in, week out. So the format I actually prefer, I actually like to listen to everybody. Those that I sort of think, oh, there's not a lot I can actually help you with or do anything with you, because you do find that in the networks, you sort of think, okay, I'll just listen to you. There may be something I pick up that maybe think, okay, maybe I have to help move you on, or find somebody that can help you in time. So I prefer to listen to everybody and then go around the screen, because at least I know what everybody does. there's nothing worse, I find, in a Zoom call or a virtual network, but and not know who's actually on the call and what they do. I think you do need to know that, which is where some networks have been very good. And I've actually said to you, right, when you join the call, please put your name, your first name sometimes, and what you do, and just making sure that people are aware of who's in the room, because it is key. And of course, you don't get an attendance list, whereas the list that I produce for our face-to-face meetings, I go down Eventbrite the night before, look at who's coming. When they've registered, I can work out who the domain name is, what they do from their website and things like that, and produce an attendance list. So format for me, I think, go around the screen, go around the room, find out what everyone does, and just listen to people. And obviously in Zoom, remember to save the chat. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Right, cons. I think we covered most of the pros there. What are some of the cons for me? I mean, I've seen some howlers on Zoom, where mics haven't been turned off, and and people have commented and swore, and when so there are some howlers. But yeah, what about face to face for a start off? Before we get, or do you want to do online first? Is there an etiquette? Do you think there's an etiquette and things you should do online? I mean,
yeah,
I take, when somebody's speaking, it's not very often I will turn my camera off. If I turn my camera off, it's because I've had a call or I've picked something up. I always have my camera on, and I always try and listen. And I find there may be a valid reason for it, but when you turn it straight off, or you've said your pitch and you've turned it straight off, that says to me you're just here for one thing and that's it. You're not interested in anybody else. So that it doesn't rank high with me at all. And then also doing that when somebody's doing a talk as well. I don't think it's right, personally.
It's interesting, very, very interesting. So the camera thing, let's talk about that first of all. So yeah, absolutely, people turn the cameras off. They could be on a mobile device, so it could be that something's come through, or they're trying to send a message, or they're trying to do something. So I think you've got to bear that one in mind a little bit. Those that are literally there just to go, hi, this is me, see you later, right, now I'm going to carry on working. I don't know, you sort of look at it and think, okay, we are in a world where we can multitask at the moment, a little bit more than we can if we're stuck in a room. And if you were stuck in a room, you wouldn't be able to multitask and type stuff on your laptop anyway, even though I have seen it done in network meetings, believe it or not. Because people say they take notes on their laptop in a face-to-face meeting. And to be honest with you, I've done it myself. I think, listening skills, certainly without a doubt. The ones that I find really frustrating with the Zoom meetings is when people are making a lot of noise, or their keyboard, they're typing stuff on their keyboard, and I've got a headset
with
on,
a hammer.
I can hear. Yeah, it is. It's like doom doom doom. It's like the beginning of EastEnders. It's like, oh my god, this is like really hammer 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 sort of thing. You sort of think, come on guys, just bear those in mind, those that are wearing headsets, because I can hear everything in surround sound. But there's going to be pros and cons with all of this. I think going to face-to-face meetings, or going back to the on the Zoom things. I think we need to bear in mind people have got different broadband speeds as well. So I think that's certainly something we need to bear in mind, and the fact that we may have to repeat ourselves a little bit more in the Zoom calls. The ones that drive me mad on Zoom are the ones that hammer the chat box to death with their business information because they see a competitor on the screen. You think, oh, really? Do you really need to hammer it to death? But people do.
See one of those today.
Yeah, I've seen it where someone has, and it's actually competing business to us, has put their things in there 4 times in a hour, and it's like, wow, people print this off and still go through it. It's a bit overkill, but so I think that's interesting. Talking about a pro from the online networks, you're putting your LinkedIn details in and people connect with you during that meeting. I think is really good. I think the fact that they can look at a website pretty much straight away while they're on the screen, so things become a bit more quicker in a virtual world.
I've connected with way many more people over the past few months by doing that on LinkedIn in particular as well, and I'm a big LinkedIn user. It's been absolutely superb for that.
I think face to face. I mean, same with any networking. Doesn't matter if it's virtual or face to face. Why are you actually there? You know, set your goals as to why you're there. You could be there to listen to the speaker, and the speaker is the one that's attracted you to that meeting. It could be that you got nothing better to do with your life, and you think, "Oh, I'm just going to go out and bore the hell out of somebody." Who, quite frankly, the negative people that you come across in the network, sometimes you think, "Okay, all right, if you're having a bad day, that's fine, but you can't be having a bad week. You can't be having a bad year. You know, come on, snap out of it. You know." And you do find those, and you do sort of give them a bit of time. Oh yeah, I know you're having a hard time. You know, what can I do to help or whatever. But if they're constantly just trying to drag you down, it's like, go away, and you will find them out there. So you know, I'll always give people a chance to actually, you know, we all have tough times, I get that, but to be constantly like it, you're thinking, oh wow, no wonder your business is struggling. So keep around those, or keep away from those, but keep around the yeah, those that give off the positive energy, without a doubt. I think they're the ones you want to be around. And if someone inspires you as well, you know, see if you can hang around that person and find out what's got them to where they've got to as well. So yeah, there's a lot of pros and cons, I think.
Do you think networking is more beneficial for a start-up smaller business than a bigger business? Or do you think it is equally as important?
Do you know what? It's equally as important in my view. So starting out, you're going to need to know various information. How many people tell you about the ICO? You hardly hear it. And yet I've heard it mentioned in two network meetings, one yesterday and one today. So you're sort of thinking, okay, that's the sort of thing you can pick up from network meetings. I love hearing about people's life stories as well, how they got to where they got to. You know, we're at one this morning. The guy was telling us about his cancer and how he's overcome his cancer. And I'm thinking, my God, that could be me one day. How would I cope? Well, that's how he coped. So if you get to know what he's about and how he's managed, why can't I just repeat what he did and learn from him? So you can always learn things from people, without a doubt. But yeah, I mean, I think yeah, you're going to find different styles out there, different people, and you know, just setting the goals is the most important thing. So I go literally, I want to meet new people, I want to book some one-to-ones in the diary, and I want to learn something. They're the three things I normally look at.
Yeah, and this is my head's going because I'm just thinking around different things now, and in particular because when I look at networking, when we think networking, I suppose it's a room full of people, but the other aspect of that is that you have exhibitions, or we will be having exhibitions, and again that is networking. And do the same? Having a goal, I think, is absolutely spot on. What is your objective for going there? But do you think the process and how you approach exhibitions changes from how you would do it in a normal networking point of view? Or do you think the same principles are there?
Yeah, I mean, networking versus exhibitions, you're not really going to go up to an exhibition stand holder and say, "Hi, I'm Adam. Do you know what? I like motorbikes." Because they're going to go, "What the hell? What? Why are you telling me this?" Whereas if you're networking, you get to know people and you get to know, you know, the names of children, you get to know where people have come from, the fact they like motorbikes or whatever. So in networks, it is slightly different. And exhibitions is really about exhibiting rather than actually networking. You might follow up with an exhibition because obviously you've got a lead or an inquiry, but most people are actually there just to mingle and see what's going on anyway at exhibitions. I mean, we go as delegates and footfall, see what's going on, get out from the office, and of course we work with digital, so we want to get away from the screen. So, yeah, for us it's a chance to go out and explore and find out what else is out there. But networks, we actually go to the networks normally to learn, to be educated, inspired, and sometimes as well, and this is a rare one for me, but actually wanting to be motivated by somebody else's positive energy, because most people are pretty positive people. Normally I'm buzzing, I can't wait to get to a meeting, and I'll tell you why as well. I normally set myself with some goals, but also I track how many people are at the network meeting, so I know there's 15 there, there's 25 there, and I can tell which ones are worth going to, and also what they do as well. So without a doubt, startup businesses, yes, 100%, valuable information, experience, knowledge. You know, for God's sake, if you go into a room and you've got 20 people meeting regularly, if they've all been in business 10 years, there's 200 years of knowledge in that room, and that's only if they've been going for 10 years. So a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience. Corporates, do you know what? It's an interesting one. So people that are corporate normally are an employee. So for employees to come out to the networks, they're normally there to develop the business. They're not normally there to actually network. So you can see employees from corporate companies sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I'm bored at my brains. I don't get anything. What's HMRC? I don't understand what that is. What's PAYE? You know, you should know, it's on your payslip, but you still see them. They're lost. And having been in corporate world and come into the networks, I totally get it. But on a positive note, you do find people that are in a corporate employment job and sort of think, do you know what? I fancy a crack at running a business. And you see them come from the corporate employment into the business networks and charities as well. You know, again, you know, seeing charities out networking, they're great people. They've always got people coming to them going, oh my God, you know, my world's ending, all this lot. I need a gardener. And you think, well, the charity knows a gardener because they network with one. So I'll always have charities involved at our network meetings. They learn from business as well.
Yeah.
And I think as well, corporates and bigger companies can learn a lot from small business. And I've been saying this, banging this drum for years. We can adapt so quickly. Whereas the corporates have to go through decision after decision after decision. So, you know, can you imagine someone that's been out to a network meeting that's employed by a large corporate going back to the boardroom saying, well, I learnt this today, and then a week later, I learnt this today. The guy, the MD's going to go, hold on a minute, slow down, and that's within a week, you know. So, but I think it's always good, always positive.
Yeah, it's no two ways about it. I think the COVID scenario and what I've had to do, or what, you know, just to filter some time initially, otherwise I'd be bored shitless, because my brain has to be that active. But it's just proved the point, you know, for me. The face to face I will do every now and again, because one of the things that come out for me around this is I want to reduce the carbon footprint around what I'm doing, because I would travel here, there and everywhere just for a half-hour meeting, you know, and I think we can do that online now. That's one of the things, the behaviours I want to do. I do want to change. So the online definitely has made a hell of a difference from a business perspective, from relationships perspective. You know, been on the networking today, like you say, and I've got to one-to-ones arranged, and again, one of them looking around how we can collaborate and support one another from a business perspective. So there is always something to get out of it, and always to learn something from someone.
Talking about getting out of things as well, you are going to find a situation in a face-to-face meeting where somebody comes to you and they love you. Not as in romance, but they love what you do, they love you as a person, and they want to be your best mate. And you're thinking, I don't like you. how can I kind of tell you that politely and professionally? So I've got to be careful how I say this, but the tip that I was taught was always, if you've got someone like that absolutely adores the path you walk on all the time, without getting sort of stalkerish or anything, but it is to always look at how you can connect them with somebody else. So, you know, if you've got someone that really is like always on you, like, Simon, love you to bits, want to be around you, and you think, right, okay, I actually know all about you, I know what you do, I can always recommend you because I know what you do. You try and move them on to somebody. So in a cheeky way, if you've got an attendance list, have a look at the visitors that are there for the first time in that meeting. So what I've done in the past is, when I've got someone like that, I'll say, oh, you know, I'll use the word, I'll use the names. I'll say, oh, hi, Adam. You know, I've known you years, you know, surely you're here to network. Like, yeah. Have you met Jennifer? Jennifer, it's her first time here, and try and introduce them and then walk away. And then walk away, because it can happen. And you can get those that really just latch on to people, their energy, their vibrancy, their success. They think they've got loads of money in their back pocket, whatever people latch on to people for. It's knowing how to manage those situations and pass them off to people. So normally the visitor... Yeah,
being able to hand that lit stick of dynamite over to somebody else.
It is, because if you're out there to network and you've set yourself goals to go meet people and you're getting stuck with the same people all the time, you're thinking, look, I'm not being funny, but I've been having breakfast with you for the last 4 years. Don't you think that you need to speak to somebody new, and I'm desperate to speak to somebody new? Because it can happen. Because again, if you've known someone for a length of time by going to that same network group, the chances are you've met socially, you know, you've been out on a group meeting elsewhere or whatever, and you just got to know them over the time. But also, if you're very switched on and you've listened to what they've said over the years and listened, which is what it's all about, you know a lot about them, a lot about what they do. So, do you really want to hear more? No. what you're doing with that is actually helping two people. A visitor feel more welcome by somebody who's normally used to that network meeting, and somebody who is literally known me for years meet somebody new that could create an opportunity. So, although I said it's kind of like a bit cheeky, it's actually very clever that you can actually engage people.
Yeah, I think it is. It is because the two people are not getting anything out of that networking relationship. It's I'd say it's gone past its sell by day. It's a comfort factor. It's like a bloody snuggie blanket or whatever. You need to get rid of it, don't you? Because it's stifling both parties there. So yeah, no, it's got to be done from a value added point of view of other opportunities and getting to know other people.
Yeah,
I think we've done that one to death.
There's one more thing.
Go on then.
Do not sell in network meetings.
Oh yeah.
It drives me potty. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind the cheeky plug. That's fine. But when you've got people going, you've got to buy this. It's the best thing in the world. Do you know what? I can see you want it. And do you know what? Actually, it will suit you really well. And you think, go away.
Yeah.
Because it really can push people to a level where you sort of think, I've now got to say those words, go away. Rather than just a polite no thanks, and people are constantly selling. Now, it's got better over the years, but when networking obviously first appeared in the country, I think it was back in the mid-80s or maybe mid-90s, I'm not sure when it was, but when it first started to really grow, a lot of people saw it as a quick win, and it's not. It's a long process, and again, those that literally come into a meeting and go, even now in COVID, every time I get an invite to a meeting, I'm actually declining some, because although I like to network and be around people and learn and look at opportunities and see what we can do to connect people, at the end of the day, am I ever going to travel all those miles to go and spend time with these people? And that's what it's about at the end of the day. It's about, building those relationships, and not the quick win of, I attended a Zoom meeting and then all of a sudden I'm not going to that meeting ever again because I didn't get anything from a Zoom meeting in Glasgow or whatever. What's the point in doing that? So, the first part of lockdown, yes, I did explore just to see what else was around. But now we've got a set demographic of where we're based, a set radius, should I say, of where we're based. And now we look at who's within that area. And also we look at the kind of people that actually attend those meetings to say, right, are they business owners or are they employees? Are they owner businesses? Or are they just representing the business? So, that's the kind of detail that you can gain from this just by looking at the job title. Yeah, that's normally the good clue. Managing director of, or marketing manager of, or just business development manager. Where they're at. Are they a decision maker? Yes or no? It's that black and white, and the same in networking. So, always look at the attendance list.
No, absolutely, I totally agree. Thank you very much for your time. That's another week down. Have a great week, rest of the week, everybody, and weekend, and we shall see you next week. Thank you very much, Simon.